trustee reports. Trustee Ben.
Good afternoon, nothing from me.
Trustee Casper. Nothing. Vice President Hofer Moyer. Nothing from me as well. Okie doke. Actually, with the exception that we had great interviews for the review principal yesterday, and very excited for what's to come there. Okay. Public comment. Do we have any public comment this afternoon? Okie doke. Then we'll move to presentations. Lisa Davis.
But the arts, music, and instructional materials block grant. As part of that, districts receiving the funds, one of the requirements is that you have to present in a public board meeting the use of the funds, how much we've received. The interesting thing about this is that's all we have to do. It doesn't go to the state. Nope. So we're doing our due diligence now and getting it done before. I think you have to have it done before the funds expire, which I think is in the 26 packet. So skip ahead here to the overview. So we received the statewide grant from the state was $3,560,885 billion to all school districts throughout the state of California. Our share of that is $2,726,991. The purpose of these funds, they were very kind of loose, but had some constraints to it. So we just needed to obtain any of our standard aligned professional development, any instructional materials for specific subject areas, specifically to improve student climate, related by library book collections, anything that would be instructional in purpose. But you can also, here was the funny thing with this block grant, they threw in operational costs. So districts could pay part of their STRS increase, which I know a lot did that with these funds. Your healthcare cost increases, just to kind of like release some of the constraints of your general fund. And then any COVID related costs. So it was a little broad, but not. So what we've done, Natalie and I have worked out a spreadsheet for over the years of these dollars. All monies have been received. We got our first allotment in December of 2022 and the final in May of 2023. We have until 25-26 to spend all these funds. And then of course the city always puts in the disclaimer, you have to spend it all or cover it all by that date, then you have to return it. Which I think any school districts like to return dollars. This just goes over the plan, what school districts need to do for the expenditure, what this requirement is what we're doing tonight. Our allocation, here's our spending plan. Getting down to that. So we spent a total of $632,000, almost $633,000 the first year in 22-23. A little tiny bit on certificated salary. I think it was for sub costs for release time. Some materials and supplies for books, some non-capitalized equipment. That was for, I'm going to say it was for iPads, Chromebooks, those purchases. and then some professional services for some consulting services and some other outside entities that we would use for instructional materials and stuff. So this year, for 23-24, we haven't finished closing the books yet, but it looks like we'll be spending about $432,000, which will leave about $1.6 million going into next budget year. Next budget year, we'll spend the majority of it. I think that's, in talking with Natalie, we'll spend a lot of it in social sciences, the adoption and those type of textbook instructional materials and all that good stuff. And then by 25-26, we'll have a small balance and then we'll figure out how to spend it so we don't send anything back to the state. So that's the plan.
Any questions?
I don't even think the board doesn't need to
I don't think
adopt
so.
it or anything, it just has to be a presentation to the board and
Sure.
you got to see how much money we got, how we plan on spending it.
I'm surprised we got that much, to be honest with you.
It was, when they did the cuts, there was a small cut to it, but they were looking initially at cutting it in half, and then they backed off on that. So it was a really super small percentage off of this. So, I don't remember exactly what the percentage was now, but.
I'm just glad it's funded up front.
Yes, I agree.
And we got the money, and I think that was, one of the things with the state when they were talking about this, is they had already, and they were getting ready to send out the May apportionment, and, it would have really messed up things, and districts were screaming, because it was like, if you already gave us the money, then the accounting structure that we would have to follow when we close our books, tell us how to do that.
Yeah.
Because we want to appropriately do it, and the state couldn't come up with a plan on how to actually reverse that and tell districts they owe money back to the state and stuff, so it was just like, forget it, here's a little bit, and we're done. So. Any
Okay.
questions?
Anything else? Any questions? Okay. All right, moving right along. All right, we will get to our consent agenda. I need a motion to designate items to the consent agenda.
I move that we designate items to the consent agenda.
Is there a second? Second by trustee Casper. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, are there any items that you would like to pull? Any items?
5.6.
5.6. Anything else? Okay, I hear nothing else, then I'll entertain a motion to approve all items on the consent agenda without 5.6.
Move that we put all items on the consent agenda except for 5.6.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by trustee Bennett. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 5.6, trustee Bennett.
Just real quick, a great acknowledgement to the Mahogany Shop for a very generous donation of $3,000. Interestingly enough, too, they're not in district, which I thought was even more cool, to shop up on Adams Avenue. So, I don't know if they have a link to Lakeside somehow, but it's nice to see communities outside Lakeside getting into the district. So, just a big thank you to them.
I agree.
Cliff Hall's done a great job holding all of that equipment up for so long. It's gonna be
Mhm.
nice to see it upgraded over the next couple of years. It's gonna be a really nice program.
I'm excited about that. All right, is there a motion to approve 5.6?
I'll move that we approve 5.6.
I'll second.
Okay, second by Vice President Cooper Moyer. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, passes. Moving right along here, to our enrollment report for months 10, 11 was in our packets. If you have any questions, they're always welcome to ask. And then the next point is the legislative update section. This has to do with the state proposal on banning cell phones in classrooms. You all have heard about that, and the governor has said that that's something he wants to look at. There's actually a bill that is in the legislature right now. My thought is, we already have cell phone policies in the district, and so prior to any ban being done, I think it'd be effective for us to, at the beginning of the year, put out a survey to our stakeholders, like teachers and others, as to if they think that our existing policy is good or not, if we need to fix something about it, as opposed to just saying, hey, we're going to put this blanket ban without answering any questions from those who actually would do the work. So that's kind of the idea that I have, is doing a survey to our staff and stakeholders and the community principals and law enforcement. I mean, there's a lot of questions that there's not answered in any of this legislation that I've seen. So it'd be helpful to hear from our own community first.
So we're looking at surveying just based on our current policies?
Mm-hmm.
So do you want me to have policy next month brought to the board for review?
I don't think we need that at this point. I think all we need to do is next month we can bring forward maybe a survey that we want to send at the beginning of the year, or a little bit after the beginning of the year. Just give people a couple weeks to get settled in, and then say, hey, if this happens, we already have our cell phones. Do you even see cell phones as a problem, or are there other problems in your classroom? I mean, we hear a lot. I rarely hear from teachers that cell phones are the huge issue. I hear from teachers that behaviors are the issue, right? And so I think for me, I think we can agree that cell phones are certainly a distraction. But if we're already using our policy and doing that, I'd just like to hear that from the staff. And that way, if we need to make changes that they think we should do to our policy, we can implement them into the policy. So that's kind of the thought.
Yeah, I think feedback's always good.
Yeah,
It will be interesting to see what the legislation is coming out, because it probably won't go to TV.
Yeah, and they're out of session until, they're on summer recess, so we won't see anything until later next month anyway.
Yeah, because I think the issue is not necessarily in the classroom. We're seeing more of it like in middle school during lunch, during passing periods
Yep.
than anything.
Yep.
But the policy's not new, and there's not a lot in it to begin with. It's very,
And I mean, I think
we adopted it only a couple of years ago.
I think that's kind of the point, right? Is like if our teachers need help with it, then maybe we need to add something in there. But I'd like to hear what that would look like, because I certainly don't know what that would look like at this juncture. So,
I know that they want to have input on it.
well, I would love it.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of the idea. So, okay, where we go with that?
Yep.
All right, great. Okay, reports to the board. I do not see any of our labor partners here today. So we'll go to our district superintendent, Lisa Davis. No update for us? Here.
Disclosing.
Okay. All right, Dr. Taylor.
I just want to congratulate Rachel on her first board agenda solo.
Yeah.
Your first solo meeting, right? Pretty much.
Very
Yeah,
good.
thank you for letting me get 13 minutes long.
Yeah. That's right, that's right. Okay, anything else that you guys would like to discuss at this point in time? Okay, then we'll go back to closed session.
Wow. Look at this.